They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Look at me, Damien. It's all for you. What have you done to him, you maniac?
Don't you ever raise your voice at me. I am your mother.
Movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative.
What's blood for, if not for shedding?
Look what you did to him. Listen, asshole.
Halloween, Texas Chainsaw, Dawn of the Dead, The Hills Have Eyes, Amityville Horror, Last House on the Left, Friday the 13th, and A Nightmare on Elm Street, My Bloody Valentine, When a Stranger Calls, and Prom Night, Black Christmas, House of Wax, The Fog, Piranha. It's one of those, right? Right? 7 days.
Hi, I'm Charles.
And I'm Christopher.
And this is Dirty Little Horror, which sounds a bit like Dirty Little Whore.
But not when I say it.
We're falling into whisper territory here.
I don't know why we're doing it. I actually thought that maybe you would do the intro in Spanish today because we're doing a Spanish movie.
Hola, me? No, damn it, that's not Spanish. I don't want to fuck up Spanish, which is why after taking 7 years of Spanish, I don't speak it because the entire time I've always been self-conscious about fucking up the language. So I don't really speak it, but I can understand it and I can conjugate a verb on paper like nobody's fucking business. But it makes me very self-conscious that I'm a white person speaking Spanish to like native Spanish speakers. So I won't do it.
When I sat down to watch the movie today, I was like, all right, let's see if the past 7 years learning Spanish on Duolingo pays off. And then as halfway through the movie, Ron Howard's voice over the top of my head went, it hadn't.
It makes me sad.
Hola, mi amo Christopher. Soy Christopher?
Hola. Yeah. Sorry. Hola. Soy Dora.
Yeah, right. So my line, and I'm Christopher, would be e soy Christopher. I would have nailed it. We should have done it. That's your fault. Anyway, how'd you die this week, Charles? Como.
Nope.
El Muerte.
Nope.
No?
No. We're not going to do this. Which just reminded me of a TikTok. Have you seen the one where the girl gets into the car and she's like, so I was watching Dora.
The Explorer? That's the one. And she goes, what was your favorite part? And I said, well, Dora. It was when we went to Abuela's house. And I was about to say that, but the bitch cuts me off and she goes, that was my favorite part too! I hadn't even said it yet, Dora! This lying fucking bitch.
It's one of my favorite TikToks that pops up, but it's very relevant because relevant. Can you tell that it's almost 2 a.m. here?
A little.
Yeah. I died due to a new addiction that I have now. It's gotten very, very bad. It's to something called tiki-taki. 100% addicted to it, and it's become a problem so much that I can't sleep, and I will just sit here for hours and scroll through things. Put my phone on Do Not Disturb and scroll. And my alarm's set in the morning, and I know what time I have to get up and get ready for work, and I can't stop myself, and I'll sit here for 4 hours. I spent all of today either lying in my bed or lying on my couch scrolling through TikTok, and I did nothing else. Literally nothing else.
Yes. That is what TikTok is for a start. Mm-hmm. I am going to tell you something that you are going to hate to hear, because I sure hate hearing it. Mm-hmm. You have to not use your phone when you go to bed.
I can't do that, so...
No, but you can. Okay, look, I'm loath to be one of these people, but I have recently gone on a juice cleanse. No, I've recently bought a Thermomix. No, I have recently started Scientology. No, I have
recently... Is it
recently...
almost 2 a.m. there too? What's wrong with you?
No, it's 3 p.m. I have recently stopped taking my phone with me to bed because I have had 6 months of the worst sleep. Now, as you know, 4 months ago, I started using a CPAP machine to try and get some of this horrendous sleep back, to try and, I don't know, get through the night, to try and wake up without a headache and feeling like death. And it started to work. And then I set myself a new rule that I don't, once I go to bed, the phone's down and I don't pick it up again. And then I don't pick it up in the morning until at least the actual sun outside is up. So if I wake up at 5, no, you just lie there, bitch. And every single time I go back to sleep. So I don't use my phone once I go to bed. Don't pick it up again until there's natural sunlight in the atmosphere.
If you don't take your phone to bed with you, how do you masturbate?
Pardon?
I shan't repeat myself.
I use my hand.
Right, but then how does the...
I don't masturbate where the dog is.
Why?
Because I'm the last person in our household to go to bed. So what am I going to go to bed next to a sleeping Will and a sleeping Chihuahua and just fap.
I do it, without a will, but yeah.
I don't know, go into the bathroom and then go to bed.
In the bathroom? I just stand up in the bathroom.
All right, go to your bedroom, leave the lights on, masturbate, then I assume there's some sort of cleanup process, or you just roll over and go to sleep?
No, I lay flat until it's fully dry and then go to sleep.
Is that true?
No.
Is that true?
No, I wish it was. No.
And then
Do I
the
wish
next
it was?
morning
I don't think I wish it was. No.
And then the next morning you just chip it off. You just chip it off with a file.
No, you just peel it off like a sunburn. Goodbye, children.
It was made worse by the physical action you did. I regret FaceTime now in this podcast. So you just need to turn your bedroom environment from a masturbating place to a sleeping place. So lights on, masturbate. Lights off, phone down.
Lights on?
Yes.
Why lights on?
Because you need to differentiate between awake time bedroom and nighttime bedroom. Also, psychologically, if you spend too much time in your bed awake, you become associated with that as a place to spend awake.
I know, that's
It's
why
not
I
good
go
for you.
That's why I go on the couch and then sleep on the couch.
Why don't you masturbate on the couch and sleep in the bed?
In the living room?
You live by yourself?
Uh-huh.
In a one-bedroom apartment?
Right.
Okay, masturbate in the kitchen then.
I just stand up in there. I can't do it and stand up.
Okay, fine. Do it on the couch. Put a tarp down.
That's where I eat.
On the couch?
Yeah.
Okay, so start eating in bed.
No, I can't.
Okay, this is very much a fox, a chicken, and a bag of corn problem here.
First of all, I don't know what that means. Second of all, I spent far too much money on these sheets to ever get any sort of food on them.
But you don't know the fox, chicken, and corn riddle?
No.
Okay, you have a fox, a chicken, and a bag of corn, and you need to get across the river. You can only fit 2 of those 3 things on the boat with you at a time. You can't leave the fox with the chicken because the fox will eat the chicken, and you can't leave the chicken with the corn because the chicken will eat the corn. So how do you get them across the river? You have that similar problem, except you have a couch, a bed, food, and your dick.
First of all,
And
you take the bag of corn, you fling it across the river.
That's not how it works.
It fully is. Then you take the fox, fling it across the river. Then you take the chicken, fling it across the river. And then none of it's your problem anymore. And you can live peacefully on your side of the river.
With an empty boat.
Yeah, that I can masturbate in. How did you die this week, Christopher?
This week I died because I had a fall.
Oh, no.
I've reached an age now where I don't fall. I have a fall.
Oh, no. How are your hips?
Do you know what's great, but also a little bit depressing? Is they're fine.
Okay.
So the steps outside our house that lead down to the carport are timber. And what's that face for?
You're going down. Those steps are timber.
Oh.
Huh?
How long are we doing this podcast for now?
10 minutes.
No, I mean the whole podcast.
Oh, too long.
Yeah, time to wrap it up. They are very, very slippery when it's wet, and it was raining a lot over the weekend, and my foot slid out from underneath me. Now, I told a story a few weeks ago. My death was how I slipped because my shoe shot out from underneath me. But I saved myself from actually making hard contact with the ground. I haven't actually made hard contact with the ground in years, possibly decades. I have wobbled and slipped, but I've always regained balance. Even on ice skates, I've never hit the deck fully. I hit the deck flat on my butt. Mm-hmm. In fact, just one cheek of my butt.
Ooh.
Right on one cheek.
That sounds like a hip fracture in the making.
It was a cheek and a wrist contact that hit the ground.
On the wrist.
And within an hour, I was fine, which indicates that my ass is juicy enough to protect me from major injuries, which I guess is a good thing. Mm-hmm. I didn't bruise or anything, though.
Okay.
Which is also technically a good thing, but you really want to be like, I fell over, look at this, and nothing.
You just want an excuse to show people your butt.
Yes, and I also want some mileage to be able to complain like, ow, no, I can't do anything. I can't do any chores. I had a fall. And nothing. I was fine.
It didn't hurt at all the next day?
Nope.
Okay, so not even any internal things. Okay.
It didn't even hurt later that day. It hurt at the time, and we were on our way to the fruit and veg shop, and all the way there I was like, Peter Griffin.
Are we gonna have to have like safety rails put in your entire house now?
No, just on the timber steps. I need to put down some of that grippy tape you have in bathtubs.
I was gonna say, why don't you have the grippy tape?
It's got the grippy tape, it just doesn't work.
Oh, so you need new grippy tape.
These stairs are such a menace when it's wet, apparently. Now I realise why, when we moved in, we were given a roll of the grippy tape.
Mm-hmm. You need to add more. Just make the steps made of grippy tape.
Made of grippy tape. Or I'll just do what Maddie does because the steps are too big for her and just walk around down the driveway instead, the other way around.
And then just slip on the driveway.
No, because it's bitumen. It's fine.
It's what?
Bitumen.
It's not asphalt?
That's what we call asphalt.
Oh.
Either way, for a child, it's hilarious. Whether you're American or you're Australian, when you say that thing, you're swearing. It's great. You're either saying ass or you're saying bitch. Either way, tick, tick. Let's do the movie. Quick. Shh. This week we are doing a Spanish film. Suggested is on the list by Sonia Hawkes.
Yeah.
Wait, sentence is wrong. On the list, suggested by Sonia Hawkes, it is the 2007 film The Orphanage.
There are children who can see a hidden world, whose imagination opens their eyes. Disappearance. A dark place. And the games children play. When they're alone in the dark. The Orphanage.
Okay, so full disclosure. I buttered everyone up who's listening. So now you're kind of aware that when a bunch of things go wrong for me at once, I get real mad.
Are you going to tell the story about you yelling at me via text?
Yes. Or as Will says, because the same thing happens to him, I heard too many noises at once and now I'm a bitch. That is a common thing in our house now. Anyway, too many little tiny things went wrong. And so I yelled at Charles via text. So he's not yelling, it's just all caps texting.
It is all caps texting, which is yelling. And it's also yelling at me about something that is not my fault. Yet again.
Also, you know me well enough to know that when I'm all caps texting, whether or not you're actually being yelled at. So I can't use that as an excuse. I found it very difficult to get the movie to play with the subtitles. It took several goes. By the end, the second last thing I tried before it finally worked, I did say to Charles, I'm just going to watch the fucking thing in Spanish and guess.
I don't think it would have been that hard.
I reckon I would have gotten a bunch of it.
Yeah.
Especially the middle bit through to the end. As far as using the full scope of the visual medium of film goes, this movie nailed it. But I did get it to work. I got it with subtitles. I read the whole thing. But as Charles pointed out to me while I was angrily texting him, apparently, was like, oh, great. Now your mood's going to skew how you view the film.
Yep.
So, you know how cranky I was.
I do. I do. Well, that's the difference. I know when you are fake all caps yelling at me via
Yeah.
text, which is something that
Yeah.
we do to each other often. And I know when it's grumpy dad technology screaming. Because
I had a fall this week, Charles. I had a fall, and now I don't know how to work technology.
More than once, and not just this specific problem, have been like, oh, you have a problem with how you have to look at the movies or stream stuff from here from an account that I gave you a password to. This is how you fix it. And then you do 4 other things before you do the thing I tell you to do. And then you just make yourself more upset before you finally do what I told you to do. And then you're still mad.
I want to say I did not log on to this podcast today to be attacked like this, but that is literally why we do this podcast. So, harsh but fair. I'm going to take it on the chin.
Harsh but fair and completely correct.
Shut up. I refuse to confirm. I don't know whether or not it was correct. Mm-hmm. Maybe the thing that you suggested did work, and maybe that was the 4th thing I did, but that's not here nor there. Anyway, I was so mad. You're right. Once I'm that cranky, it does skew how I view the film, and I sat down thinking this movie's going to have to be pretty fucking fantastic to get me over the hump of already being furious at it. Tell you what, it bloody did.
Good.
Yeah. I loved, and then I hated, and then I loved, and I hated, and I loved again this movie.
Ooh, okay. That's a journey that I would like to take with you.
Where are you at on the whole first, by the way?
Overall, enjoyed the movie. It wasn't my favorite.
Okay.
I think that it was very well done, and it involves too many children. But I kind of knew that going in. And then, I mean, we can get to it because I don't want to be super spoilery right off the bat. But this whole movie didn't have to happen, essentially.
Yep.
Yep. But as
what you're referring to is one of the moments where I hated it.
Yeah. But I'm also very happy that even though there have been talks of making an American remake of this, there's possibly never needed to be American remakes of a lot of things that have happened. But I'm glad that they didn't mess with this, because I'm sure that the quality of it only would have gone, the production quality might have gone up via budget, but the production of the actual movie would have gone down. I believe.
Yeah. Look, you know where I stand on remakes, which is come one, come all, have a go, don't care. American remakes, I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, Americans always ruin it. I love any and all remakes. However...
I am and I'm not.
However,
really
I agree with... this movie does not need to be remade for it to be accessible to American viewers, or to English-speaking viewers, rather. Just read the fucking subtitles, because it is a fantastically made movie. And in terms of budget, they already doubled the budget by having Guillermo del Toro executive produce it, which immediately doubled their money and the amount of time they had to film, which I think is hilarious. Because this is a first-time director, first-time, I think, screenwriter.
Sure.
Given a bunch of cash because del Toro was involved, which is awesome.
Which is great. But yeah, I mean, every so often, like when we're talking about like The Ring or The Grudge, obviously I like those remakes because of who starred in them, and while they do kind of not necessarily follow the lore of its source material completely, I liked their additions to what we did. Now, all the other Japanese or Korean remakes that we got after that, trash. But just like Train to Busan or Parasite or The Orphanage, like. Sometimes movies can just exist and be brought to American audiences as they are, and they don't have to be repackaged with just like some white actress.
I agree. I should specify when I say I'm for any and all remakes.
I am.
I'm not for remakes like you say, just because we need to have it in English or with Caucasian faces. That's not right. Yes, you're right. Parasite, just watch it. Train to Busan, just watch it.
Just watch it.
Just watch it. Because people always cite the American Kath and Kim to me as a reason why remakes are bad.
But you saw that and it wasn't terrible.
No, my counter is, it was... Kath and Kim would have been a successful remake if they tailored it more to the cultures they were setting it in.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Australian suburban Melbourne jokes in a Florida setting. They weren't Florida jokes.
Right.
And there are plenty of Florida jokes to be had. We know because of
Florida
Jason
existing.
Mendoza. Yes, I was going to say Jason Mendoza from The Good Place. If they'd remade because you got Kath and Kim, the Australian version, you've seen it. It makes sense. It's Australia, even if some cultural bits don't necessarily resonate.
But thankfully, I have you to be like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why
But
it's funny? Oh, I get it now. Got it.
If you'd remade a sort of trashy, not stupid, but trashy mother-daughter combo in whatever state, it was Florida, but whatever state you wanted to set it in, and you made the joke specific to that, it would have worked its tits off.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way that again, this is always used as the example, The Office worked when they tailored it to an American-style office.
Right. It's a reason that neither of the AbFab remakes have worked or been aired, even.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Fabulous. But yeah, if you had taken that idea and just Miranda. It's happening right now. It's happening right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't seen it, so I can't comment on it. From what I can gather, it has been tailored to it more.
It has, but
that hasn't made it better. But in terms of AbFab, I always like Sybil and Marianne from the sitcom Sybil were the best remake of AbFab, and it wasn't a remake of AbFab, but that was those character types tweaked to fit the setting.
Yeah.
Anyway,
like if you're redoing something that's beloved and so popular overseas, like AbFab, Kath and Kim, whatever, like you don't need to. I don't need to see the jokes recycled even.
100%.
Come up with new
not.
jokes, unless it's one of those classic ones where someone else can make that same joke their own.
Yeah.
Then maybe we can work with it, but for the most part, you don't need to recycle a script, especially a pilot script.
Right.
These are brand new characters with brand new names who you're just using the same idea for.
Yeah.
Start over.
There was an Australian sitcom that did not work called Sit Down, Shut Up. It was set in a school, and it was remade in America as an animated series.
What was it?
Which also failed. It was called Sit Down, Shut Up.
Oh, no idea.
It was an animated series. All I remember was that Kristen Chenoweth was cast as a character called Miracle Grow.
Oh.
It also failed, but it was an entirely new iteration of it. Like I said, anyway, I'm pro remakes if you've got new ideas. I'm not pro remakes just because it's not very Western, is it? Back off.
No, thank you.
Back off. Anyway, this movie is Spanish.
Yes, it is. So I know what we're in for based off the title. I have not seen this movie before watching it for this. I had a lot of assumptions going into it. I didn't even watch a trailer. I didn't even do any of that because
Neither.
So many of them now ruin everything. So I just don't anymore, and I don't read the plot. I don't read the synopsis. I don't do any of that shit now. But based off of what I saw, like just from a poster, I was like, oh, okay, a bunch of ghost kids. I'm already a peg down. I already don't like it.
Okay, sure. I think it's interesting that you say you knew what to expect from the title and from the imagery of it, because I thought I did, but I was wrong.
Okay, so what were you expecting?
I was expecting a more specifically malevolent force.
Yes. Okay, that's true.
And that was the movie subverted my expectations on that front.
But we kind of got that, but not really.
Not in the way I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And because, I was like, oh, it's a movie called The Orphanage, set in a creepy orphanage. I was like, we've all seen this movie before.
Mm-hmm.
But I really don't think we have.
I've seen similar ideas, but not quite the same as this. Just like a bunch of a place where a bunch of kids died. And then, oh my God, children ghosts. Hooray.
Yes.
But this is not quite that.
No. So, So let's do because we've taken a while to get here. Let's apologies to Wikipedia. I'm going to read the first paragraph directly from it. In 1975 in Spain, a young girl named Laura is adopted into an orphanage. 30 years later, adult Laura returns to the now closed orphanage, accompanied by her husband Carlos and their 7-year-old son Simon.
First mistake.
Son? Having a child?
No.
Having a husband?
Returning to a closed orphanage that you once went to?
Okay.
No.
Well, she loved living there until she was adopted, and she plans to reopen the orphanage as a facility for disabled children. She feels very strongly about this. This is the first subversion, the first someone not being forced into an orphanage, not buying a house. We don't know why it was so cheap. What? It used to be an orphanage. She's like, that's an orphanage. I used to live there. I'm going to go back and reopen it. I love that.
Great intentions, bad idea.
Yeah. Simon, who already has imaginary friends, claims to have met a new friend called Tomas, and he draws pictures of him, and that's when things get a bit creepy. There.
Okay.
I set up the scene.
So yeah, I mean for a big predominant part of the movie, we're meant to think that Tomas is the, spooky evil ghost child baby.
Yes.
Spooky evil ghost child baby.
Spooky evil ghost child baby.
Mm-hmm. Because he is a child running around with a sack mask on, which I'm surprised that Laura doesn't immediately clock from her childhood.
You mean it like a spoiler thing?
No, she'd be like, oh, my son is now drawing pictures of a little boy who used to live here with me.
No, he didn't get there until after she left, remember?
I thought that they were very briefly overlapped.
Did you not read all the Spanish?
No, I did, because once we get there, because his mother was there when she was in the photo.
And Laura said, I don't remember her at all. And the cop lady says, oh, she was there only a short time, a few weeks after you were adopted.
But then how are they in the same photo?
A few weeks before you were adopted. Okay, fine. Again, it's explained that no one ever saw the kid with the sack mask back then. He was hidden away.
Okay.
And the thing that happened that we're not saying yet happened, that was after she left the orphanage.
Yes, I knew that. But then also, that sack mask that he's wearing, wasn't the Scarecrow in the very beginning of it wearing the same thing?
No.
Or is that he just had a yellow face?
That was just
a
creepy. It was a creepy Scarecrow.
Okay.
That was this 100 things in this movie were red herrings.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But I when I saw it, when I saw the Scarecrow and then later saw the sack mask, I was like, oh, that's a mask from the Scarecrow. Or I guess not. They just looked similar.
Also, doesn't Simon only wears the mask once?
Yeah.
He's not always wearing the mask. He
No.
wears it once.
No, he's not. But
the rest of the time, Tomas is wearing it.
Yes.
This is very confusing if you haven't watched the movie yet.
But I'm saying even if it looked, I guess since the mask and the Scarecrow are not wearing the same face, it makes a little bit more sense to me now that she wouldn't immediately clock sack mask as a problem.
Yeah. Was that one of the... Did you get hung up on it? Did you get a Charles hang up on that?
No, I was just okay, well, she, her timeline's all messed up, but she was a kid, so I guess whatever. But she has to remember him, but she doesn't, so whatever.
Early on, before the other children that she plans to adopt arrive, a social worker rocks up called Benigna Escobedo. She's creepy as heck.
Real nosy. I don't fucking know
Real
her.
nosy. And from that scene, we learn that Simon is adopted and was born with HIV. Mm-hmm. We know that they give him his pills every morning, and he takes them, and he doesn't know why. He just takes them.
See,
he doesn't know
this part of the movie also was very frustrating to me. I don't like the trope of adopted kids, especially in horror movies, not knowing they're adopted. It comes back to bite everyone in the fucking ass.
Yes.
I don't have children. if I were to have children, I would adopt them. I would adopt a child that was old enough to also know that they were adopted, so it was never a big secret. Like I would want like a sassy sidekick, and that's not a reason to get a child.
It's the only reason you haven't.
I
Also,
download like I said download. I want to download a child. I want to adopt. I want to adopt a child who's like a 12-year-old girl who's like already kind of jaded and over the world and doesn't like people, so that we can make fun of people together. That's what I want if I were to ever have a child, which I will not.
All right. I
want a Punky Brewster.
Two notes. Mm-hmm. One, if you did get a child, there'd be even fewer places you could safely masturbate in your home.
Correct.
Two, if you want a 12-year-old to be jaded, no. That's too young to be jaded.
No, I mean like a sassy orphan.
Okay, yeah. So Punky Brewster, sure.
Yeah, I want Punky Brewster.
Punky Brewster wasn't jaded.
No, but like I want like an updated, grungy version of Punky.
All right, I'm glad you're never having children.
No, I shouldn't have children.
I don't think 12-year-olds should be jaded.
What I'm really talking about is I want me and my niece to sit at a table and shit talk everyone else at the family reunion. That's more realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. I approve of that. Anyway, so
but don't
Benigna. What?
But don't keep the fact that children are adopted away from them because you think they can't handle it. And also, maybe tell them that they have a autoimmune disease.
Tell your children. I feel that's a hard and fast rule that can't be followed. Tell your children that they're adopted if you find yourself in a horror film.
Or why should they go their entire life not knowing something about themselves that can be very triggering, regardless of what? I mean, especially in a horror movie, yes. But
okay, again, Simone is 7 years old.
But usually,
maybe they're waiting.
Usually, like wait till someone's a teenager or like 18 or something, and be like, "Hey, by the way, this whole time you were adopted." Not cool. I don't think it's cool.
Okay.
But especially in a horror movie.
Anyway, Benigna gets more and more nosy, and Laura eventually is like, "No thanks, get out of my house." Which, correct, that's the right call to make. I noted that at half a dozen points in this movie, where you expect the main character, Laura, to do something dumb and horror movie-ish, she does the opposite. And this is the first time. True. She's like, you know what? Get out. Oh, off she goes. She takes the file and locks it away in a drawer. And this is my first note that I wrote for this movie. People hiding things in a drawer in movies always close the drawer the same way. Now, normally, you just use your hand, shove it shut, use an elbow. I've walked out of a kitchen and used my foot to kick a drawer shut. Whatever's nearest limb is on hand. When you are hiding things in a movie, you are always two hands, palm up, and using your fingertips to gently press the door shut. And she does that. But then she also locked it with a giant key. So fair enough.
A giant ornamental key, which if I found, I'd be like, what does this go to? I'm going to go find what this unlocks.
Absolutely. Later that night, Laura hears banging in the shed outside, goes outside, only to find old mate Benigna.
Fucking bitch digging around in my goddamn shed with a shovel. Stealing a shovel?
I feel like Laura didn't chase her because she's an old lady, and she runs out the shed and takes off into the night, and then like 5 to 10 minutes later, Laura comes out of the shed and is like, Where'd she go? Like, you were 6 feet away. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But then she tells her husband, and this is our first inkling that Carlos is a bit of a dick.
Well, yeah, she runs all the way into the house, up the stairs to get him, and then comes back outside and is just walking the property line, looking into the woods with a flashlight. It's not gonna. She's gone.
She's gone. She's long gone. And then Carlos says, if she shows up again, we'll call the cops. No.
Call the cops now.
Call the cops now. She left her name. It's Benigna Escobedo.
Yeah.
Call the cops. Say an old lady called Benigna Escobedo came to my house and was rummaging around in my shed. Please go question her.
Yeah. She came here with some very rude questions. I asked her to leave. She showed back up. She went through my things, possibly stole the shovel. I would like my shovel back, and I want to know what the fuck she's doing in my shed.
You don't know how long that shovel has been in my family. It could be an heirloom. It could be an antique. It could be worth a lot of money. I want her charged with where would a shovel be petty or grand, Larceny? It depends on the...
It's less than $1,000. It's or I think it's $500 or $1,000. $500 or $1,000. Less than that is petty.
Okay.
More than that is grand.
I'm sorry, but I haven't had the metal of this shovel head evaluated. It might be silver. Pure silver.
Do you think that people were making pure silver shovels when silver was a precious metal that people used as currency?
Excuse me, I'm not the one on trial here. I've had my things stolen. Please stop interrogating me.
Benigna is. She should be on trial.
Benigna!
For stealing our apparently silver shovel.
I might be questioned. I've recently been burgled. So after that, Simon's imaginary friends are concerning to Laura now that he's met a new one, and he takes Laura and Simon go to a cave nearby. There is a lighthouse. The cave is one of those tidal caves where it's flooded when the tide's in. Of course there's a cave. She leaves him alone in the cave to pick up shells, which I think probably wouldn't do. He's talking to a friend in there, but he won't come out and play. And he's like, come back to the house later and play. And I'm like, that's your first mistake, kid.
No.
Never invite something in a cave to come play with you at your house, because it'll come. And then he leaves a trail of seashells for it to find to come back to the house. And then we get our first good, not like, rah, scare, but our first good horror movie moment. It's the next morning. After the Benigna silver shovel incident, Laura opens the front door and the door scatters a giant pile of shells. So whatever's come back to the house has brought the entire trail of shells back with it and dumped them at the front door. And I was like, ooh, that's literally my reaction. Then Simon tells his mum, Laura, about this game, this treasure finding game that his imaginary friends do, where something you value goes missing and in its place is something else. And whatever that is a clue as to where to go next. It's like a treasure hunt.
Kind of, yeah. Scavenger, treasure hunt. Yeah, it's an interesting game. We're playing fast and loose with what people consider valuable to themselves, but yeah.
Also, it makes me realize that I do not know enough about my house.
Or the fact that how these ghosts know so much about Simone and Laura, with having been there for maybe a week.
Yeah, in this film universe, if a ghost is in your presence for, I guess, even a day or a week, they know your entire psychological history, which is disconcerting.
And they can read files.
I think this is why I've never personally been haunted. Because every ghost has gotten a snapshot of my brain and gone, fuck no, I'm not dealing... Nah, I'm not engaging with that hot mess.
I think... Similarly, I think that like if that were to happen, they'd be like, well, we can't really... We're not really going to get him. But if we want him to leave, there's not really much that's going to get him to leave. The rent's too low.
Yep.
Like with Russell, who's been very quiet recently. If he was trying to scare me off, it didn't work, and now I'm stuck here.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, also we're not dealing with like super violent ghosts in this movie either. I do like the game. It's fun. I like that she went on this journey with him, even though she thinks that he did all of it.
Yeah, and look, at some point you'd be like, okay, no, I can't even figure out this many clues. How could a 7-year-old do it? Because the thing that Simon said was his valuable item that went missing were old coins. They went to where the old coins were, and it was Simon's baby teeth. Where does Laura keep Simon's baby teeth? Which, by the way, ew. In the container where the baby
milk teeth? Which I didn't.
Yeah, that's what baby teeth are.
I've never heard that term before.
In the container where the baby teeth are normally kept is sand. So they go out to the garden outside. And then they find something. Anyway, on and on it goes.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't know, because it happens again later in the movie. These clues, I'd be so bad at being like, okay, where's this from? Fuck if I know.
You do not know. I don't know. Yeah, you really don't know much about your house.
Where the fuck is there a rose? I mean, okay, yes, in this instance, I do know where roses are in my house, but they're like 3 different places. It could be anywhere. Anyway. The treasure trail leads back to the folder where with the adoption information on it. I don't think Simon has read it, but he gets back there. It freaks Laura out, but then Simon just yells, "My friends told me," and at this point they're either imaginary or ghosts. "My friends told me you're not my real mother, and I'm gonna die soon," which upsets everybody.
Yeah, he clearly wasn't going there into the drawer for the file. He was going for the coins, which is where the coins were. When he pulled that coin out of like whatever little container it was in and saw it, like, the drawer in the kitchen. If I was Laura, would have been like, no, game over.
Yeah,
we're done.
Yeah,
Stop it.
It's like chasing Benigna out of the shed. She's clearly not a runner.
Yeah, like,
she's not a fast mover. Our Laura.
Give me that key. I will open the drawer. This is not a drawer for children.
Yeah. Yeah, he's managed to get that ornate key into the drawer, turn the lock, open the drawer, and get the file out before she's even in the doorway of the kitchen.
Mm-hmm. So
that is not how mothers move.
Yeah, so he has, especially when your child has something that is like, no.
I remember I once stormed off to my room to slam the door. One time in my life I did it as a child. And I stormed off to my room, and when I turned around to slam the door, because my mother was standing in the doorway.
Okay.
And I yelped and didn't get a chance to slam the door. Because I did not expect her to be standing right there.
She moved real quick.
She was silent too. She moved like the wind. I'm still fully in this movie at this point, but so far nothing's really happened except like a little seashell magic and some missing teeth. There is a nice and comfortable and, for me, satisfying sense of dread building. But yes, by this point, nothing has happened. Mm-hmm. Then we get to the party, which is for the opening of this orphanage. I feel like handmade papier-mâché masks was a mistake because everyone looks terrifying.
Uh-huh. Especially when Laura, realizing that she doesn't know where Simone is, starts just ripping them off random children who clearly aren't her son.
Yes.
Like a little redheaded girl with pigtails.
Yeah, I thought that too. Like, the pigtails and the big, long, thick ponytail might be a giveaway that that's not your kid, mate.
Mm-hmm.
And then at one point, there's a shot of an old man, like, uneasily taking his mask off. I'm like, she's not going to mistake you for the kid either.
She could.
She didn't. She doesn't spot red pigtails. What chance has she got?
But also, like, none of the adults seem to be like, hey, look, why are you ripping masks off of all the children, Laura? They're just like,
why are you running around yelling out a child's name? We've just brought all these children here to live with you, for you to look after. Have you lost one? Anyway.
Yeah. Needless to say, all of the children will not be in Laura's care, thankfully.
No. Oh, a probably important plot point we've skipped over.
What?
Before she's looking for Simone, they have a bit of a fight.
Yeah.
It's the day of the party, and Laura says, everyone's arrived, come downstairs. And Simone says, first, come and let me show you Tomas's little room. She's like, no, we don't have time for that. Simone yells and says, come and see his little house. Thomas has a little house. Come and see the little house. And she's like, no. And he knocks the tray of things out of her hand, and she gets mad and slaps him. But then, yes, so later she's looking for Simone, and she sees... she goes upstairs, and there at the end of the hall is a little child wearing a sack mask. And she's like, oh, Simone, is that you? The shirt the kid's wearing says Tomas, which the film... I'm interested. The film notices, because it is on screen enough for me to clock it, but Laura doesn't notice. Mm-hmm. So we know she doesn't. And she's like, Simone, is that you? And she goes to lift the mask up, and the kid shoves her into the bathroom. Her finger gets slammed on the door of the bathroom, which it's a finger thing. I know you didn't like that part.
Mm-hmm. No, thank you.
And then she falls into the bathtub, cracks her head, is very upset. And then the kid locks the bathroom door. Now, Carlos uses a chisel to jimmy her out again. And again, Carlos is a tit, because she's clearly been locked in because he had to jimmy her out. But then upon opening the door, is like, what's going on? Your wife got locked in the bathroom, Carlos.
Yeah, he does. He's like, I just really barely... You're bringing out a lot of Carlos that I hadn't noticed, but that's because I barely registered him as a character in this movie.
Well, I registered him because at first he seemed like a solid... He wasn't that horror movie. He becomes it, but he wasn't that disbelieving, dismissive, shithead horror movie husband. But he becomes it. But yeah, he's like, what's going on? Like, you're the one holding the chisel.
Yeah.
What do you... Anyway, she breaks into a run. She can't find Simon. She ends up running down the beach and sees a little boy in a sack mask inside the cave as the tide is coming in. A thing happens I'm not too sure about. I gather that in the running through the surf, frantically, she breaks her leg.
She does. I'm not sure that she breaks it, but she definitely, like, I'm not sure. I from what I saw, it could have been a break. I thought that she very badly, like, had banged herself on a rock or a coral so much that the bone was exposed. But I'm not sure that it could have been broken. You're right.
Well, yeah, because she does end up with both a giant mark on her knee and a full cast.
Mm-hmm.
But no one believes her. Yeah, no one believes her when she says there was someone in that cave. She's in hospital. The police are there. They're like, we searched the entire cave. There are no children's bodies there, ma'am.
As if it wouldn't have been rinsed out to sea.
Yeah, but it wasn't in the cave. We don't know where Simon is. And then with the story about Benigna. Oh, the second thing that Laura does that's very anti-horror movie, which I loved, the cop hands over an old photo from the orphanage's days and is like, do you recognize anyone in this photo? Which is very long, ominous horror movie thing, to which Laura immediately cuts attention by going, yes, that's Martin, that's Tina, that's Sam, that's John, that's me. Like, yeah. I made those names up, but
those are all my friends who I lived with before I was adopted.
The way she immediately breaks that horror movie tension, I loved it. But the cop is then like, that lady at the back there, that's the old woman that was in your shed.
Yeah.
We think she abducted Simone.
And again, Benigna left information at the house about how to contact her and how to get a hold of her. Find that bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, find her. What the hell?
But anyway, they're like, she probably took your son. Okay, bye.
And then we jump forward 6 months.
And it's not that they have like, it's not that they have necessarily like accepted the fact that he's gone because they're still looking for him. But
there's a big Charlie Day map on the wall.
Yeah, but like 6 months later,
he's gone. Also, Laura's still hobbling.
I've never broken anything. I don't know how long it takes to heal, so I don't know.
I think it's like 6 weeks. Yeah, the cast off. Maybe it's a while to run again. I don't know. But
she already wasn't a great runner.
No, that's true. We've established that. But 6 months later, they're driving down the street and they see old mate Benigna. They pull over. Laura calls out the window, Benigna. The old lady stops and turns and is immediately hit by an ambulance.
Very Final Destination. Just poof.
Yep.
Ironic.
She is wearing the kind of whistle that Laura has been hearing every time she sees Tomas. And
I feel like
when they find...
I feel like ambulance drivers should be a bit more cautious just driving around.
Also, the same thing happens in Mean Girls and in Final Destination. Cars don't only make sounds when you can see them. Like there is a it's called the Doppler effect, yes, but you still would hear a it's not just nothing, like silence and then that's not how cars go.
Mm-hmm. Also,
unless they're teleporting.
I've never heard a school bus that loud either, so
also that. They discover once Benigna's dead, because she's fully dead. There's a bit of a scare there, but she's dead.
Oh yeah,
that's when they
very much the Ring style. No, not the Ring. The Grudge. With what's her face who came back with the missing jaw? Remember she was the one taking care of the old lady before Sarah Michelle Gellar showed up, and then she went back later as a ghost and was missing her whole jaw.
Yoko has the no jaw.
Okay.
Anyway, that's a different movie. So, from the dead body, and then police investigating, they discover that Benigna was Tomas's mother. He was deformed, so he wore a sack mask and was kept hidden from everyone else. But the children knew about him, because they played a trick on Tomas, where they went and played in the cave, but while they were in the cave, took his mask off and then ran out of the cave to see if he would come out and they could see his face. But he was so embarrassed, he refused to come out. The tide rose and he drowned.
Right. So I'm not this like so, the way this orphanage is set up and the way that they force a child to wear a sack mask to hide his deformities doesn't seem like 1975. It seems like, 1890, maybe 1930s.
I'm getting the distinct impression, because I agree with you, I got the distinct impression that the wearing the mask was Benigna's doing.
Possibly, yeah, but still, like, the fact that the facility was like, yeah, I guess your son can run around here with a mask on. That's weird. All right. And then basically all these orphans murdered him.
Yes, by mistake. It was an accident. They were playing.
I feel like after maybe a couple of minutes of him not coming out and watching, hey, the tide's coming in, we should go give him his mask back so he can come out.
Yeah, but they're kids.
Stupid, murderous children.
Okay, yeah, that's true. As are all children, I assume. Anyway, so now we know that the other children that were Laura's old, orphanage mates accidentally killed Tomas. So they use a medium named Aurora to do a full Ghost Hunters multi-camera, multi-recording device style seance. During the seance, Aurora sees the ghosts. She sees and we hear 5 crying children saying, "We're really sick. She wants to kill us. Help, help. She wants to kill us." And then it ends. Then the seance is over. Aura was back in the chair where she started the seance. It's all very spooky. Boo! Another moment of Laura subverting the horror movie trope is when the cop is trying to... Once again, the cop psychologist is back. And when she's trying to discredit the whole thing...
the seance?
Laura... the seance after it happened. After they all heard ghost noises... But Carlos and the cop psychologist are immediately like, no, this is fake. And Laura just turns onto the psychologist and says, I didn't ask for you to be here. Go find another hobby. Oh, fucking delicious.
Yeah.
It was so good. By the way, I love this actress. I love the woman playing Laura. She's stunning and just does this role so well.
Very well.
They all leave. The cop leaves, and then Carlos says, "We have to get out of here." And she says, "I won't. I just won't. You have to give me 2 days." But he won't stay there, so he leaves. And then, by herself in the house, Laura does the thing that I've been wanting her to do for the past 45 minutes. Because from the minute we jumped ahead 6 months, I was like, "Why haven't you played the treasure hunting game?" The treasure hunting game.
I thought you were talking about
the treasure hunting game.
I thought you were talking about her putting back the orphanage the way it used to be, with like putting all the beds together and all that shit. I was like, stop it! What are you doing? Crazy.
That is creepy as fuck, but also looked amazing. It was like a very creepy scene. No, when she first was like, "Oh, I'll put this thing that we found in Simon's bed back where it goes. Oh, I found something else. I'll put this where it goes. Oh, there's another thing." She does half of it and then stops when she gets an ornate doorknob.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't want to say this is one of those instances where I picked the twist, because it's not a twist. But for 45 minutes, I was like, treasure hunting game.
Mm-hmm.
Simon is the thing that's valuable that's been taken. Get him back. Part of the discovery she ends up back in the shed, where she sees the brooch that Benigna had dropped.
Mm-hmm.
It's near a furnace. In the furnace, she finds a bunch of sacks. In the sacks are a bunch of bones. It's all the children. Because of the leg brace and I think the glass eyes and the hearing thing, she realizes that it's her old orphanage mates. The things that Aurora saw were real. Benigna, to get the children back for accidentally killing Tomas, poisoned them all and then buried them in this shed, in the coal shed.
It burned them.
Yes, burnt. That's right, because they're all. It was piles of ash. Yes.
Yeah.
Wait. Then how are the sacks intact?
Because she burned them and then put them in the sacks and then hid them, and then no one's been there. The orphanage closed.
Right. Okay. Yes.
So those sacks full of like bones and leg braces and people dust have just been sitting there for 30 years.
Just been sitting there.
So and also when she finds them, she's like digging through all of them, seeing like a partial skull and a leg brace and some like teeth braces things too. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And then as she's like freaking out, just starts wiping her face and her hair. And I'm like, you're wiping people on your face.
That's child dust.
Stop it right now. And then the police show up.
But it looked really effective.
Yes, it did.
Again,
but also people.
Another subversion of the horror trope. Because she found these bodies and immediately called the police. Because the very next shot is police. Laura, on the money.
Yeah.
Carlos still's not having a bar of it. He's not around. Laura, now it's nighttime in the house. And she's, as you say, made the orphanage look like it did 30 years ago. She brings out all the old beds, all the old linen. She puts on one of the old uniforms. She sets up, she has a memory of them all eating like blueberries and desserts at the kitchen table. So, does a giant spread, puts all the dolls that represented the kids, I guess they were the kids' dolls, in the chairs, waiting to make connection, and nothing happens. And she has a bit of a freak out, but then decides to play the game, not the treasure hunting game, but the game we saw in the very, very, very opening scene that looked like it meant nothing. It was just a creepy scene.
Which is a weird, like it's not hide and seek and it's not tag, but it is?
It is a variation of What's the Time, Mr. Wolf. Have you ever had that game when you were a child?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Or it's a mixture between What's the Time, Mr. Wolf and Statue. So, What's the Time, Mr. Wolf?
Is it like red light, green light?
Kind of. So one kid's it, and all the kids are in a row, and the kids all say, "What's the time, Mr. Wolf?" And Mr. Wolf will say 3:00. So everyone's got to take 3 steps forward.
Oh.
And you do that over and over and again, and until Mr. Wolf says dinner time, and he has to chase them back to the first line. Statue is like the game that we see in this movie, where when the person who's it's back is turned, you can move. When they are looking at you, you have to freeze. Mm-hmm. And you have to try and get close enough to tap them on the shoulder.
That's red light, green light, yeah.
Okay.
But also,
so this is a
very, very much, what time is it, Mr. Fox? You're right.
Yeah. So they play, it's what is it, 1, 2, 3, knock on the door? Knock on the wall.
Now I forgot what it is. It's 1, 2, 3.
It's knock on something.
Yeah. I don't remember what they said.
We have the scene. It's beautifully shot. I was really impressed with this, especially at how willing they were to just make us sit and wait. I was on the verge of getting bored, but then it ramped up. Just this one shot over and over again of the camera was on Laura, and it panned to behind her. Anyone there? No. It moves back to Laura. 1, 2, 3, knock on the wall. The camera moves back. A door's open. The camera goes back to Laura. This happens like 6 times, and every time it's as creepy as it was the first time, when as the camera moves back, there are more children there. It's all one shot. And then she gets a tap on the shoulder. She tries to chase the children, and ends up back in the creepy little stairwell thing where she was earlier in the movie.
Harry Potter's apartment.
And then Harry Potter under the stairs, and the door gets shut behind her and locked. Then she realizes that the doorknob on the inside of this under the stairwell cupboard is the same as the ornate doorknob she had in her pocket. So she feels around on the other side of the wall, finds an even smaller door, puts the door handle in it, opens it up, finds this creepy stairwell. Of course she finds a creepy stairwell.
Because, of course, in this orphanage, before Tomas had ever lived there, when they were building the construction of the house, they had in mind to have a secret basement where an ugly child could be kept.
You never know when you might need to keep an ugly child. That's just good. That's just good urban planning.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want a secret basement where you can keep a child hidden away from the world?
Do you know what else you could do in an ugly child basement?
Sex?
Safely masturbate.
I was gonna say
keeping your bed free.
That's a dungeon. Is what that is.
Okay. Yep. There you go. See? Anyway, she goes down and she finds Simon. He's there under a blanket. He's cold. She's so happy she's found him. The kids start banging and banging and banging upstairs. And she says to Simone, if we're going to get out of this, you need to focus on me, close your eyes, pretend that those kids don't exist. It's just you and me. And we're going to get out of here. Mm-hmm. All right? And he does, and everything stops.
Meanwhile, not considering the fact that he's been trapped down there for 6 months and is somehow still alive?
It's 9 months now.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. Okay, sure. So, yeah.
But at this point, as a movie viewer, I assumed it's the treasure hunting game. He'd been secreted away by these ghosts. I assumed he was in some kind of stasis. That, to me, I was fine with.
Okay.
Anyway, the noise stops. It looks like the children have gone. And she's like, okay, cool, here we go. And then she realizes the blanket she's holding is empty.
Mm-hmm.
And then she sees...
everything goes dark.
Everything goes dark. Then she sees a small body with a cloth mask on. And here is the first of 4 times I cried watching this movie.
Ooh, okay.
Well, technically I only cried 3 times. But I was distressed after the second crying, and then I heard a squeak at my back door, and the king parrots, who I have not seen for months, were back. And so I paused the movie and put some seed in my hands and went outside, and he immediately flew onto my hand, and so I cried a 3rd time at that.
Aww. Why have they been on?
Anyway.
Winter?
Summer. They haven't needed me, or this is a new generation. I don't know. They just have not been around. The Rosellas have been around, but they don't eat out of your hand. The king parrots have been absent. I've not had a king parrot in my hand since like my birthday in December.
Oh wow.
And I was just so pleased that he was back, and I was so devastated by the movie that I cried again.
I like at the very first thing, he's like, "Oh, I'm backing down. Hey! Remember me? Food now."
Yep. Oh yeah, fully at the door on the old rock. Beep. Beep. I'm like, yeah, I'm coming. All right, there you are. Anyway, we get some flashbacks to help, which in this case actually were helpful. We flash back to Laura opening that cupboard while looking for Simone back during the party. And as she flung open the door, a bunch of metal poles, scaffolding, fell out onto the floor. And she just picked them back up and shoved them back in. And one of them went clunk against the door. And then she takes a step closer to the body. We get another flashback of her that night, the first night Simone was missing, hearing a bunch of thuds and then a loud crash bang. Mm-hmm. And then she pieces it together. Oh, then we have another flashback to Simone saying, come and see Tomas's little house. And her saying, no, we don't have time. And she pieces it together that during the party, after their fight, Simone had gone into Tomas's little house. She'd gone looking for him. The poles had locked him, had blocked his exit. He couldn't get out of the basement. And then the crash was him falling over the stair banister, trying to get out, breaking his neck and dying instantly. Mm-hmm. He's been there, dead the whole time. And he died because of an accident that was Laura's doing. Which means the ghosts, Benigna, the whole thing, while they all are things that happened, they aren't the reason Simone was missing. It was all red herrings. And it was her tragic mistake. And as she realizes, I'm crying. And she carries his little body up to where she set up the beds. And takes a clear overdose of sleeping pills. And that's when I cried the second time. And then the bird came. And I fed the bird and cried a 4th time. A 3rd time, I mean. She looks like she droops as the sleeping pills have an effect. But then she lifts her head like as she's dying and says, basically, I won the game. I found the treasure. I get a wish. Because that was the whole thing about this game. If you find the hidden item, you get to make a wish. Yeah. She says, I get to make a wish. I want Simone back. And the 30-year dormant lighthouse lights up, Blue Fairy style from a Disney film, and Simone is back, and he's awake, and he says, I found the coins. I got to make a wish too, and I wish that you would stay and look after us forever, all of us. And then she looks out on all the beds, and all the kids that were her orphanage mates from when she was a kid, the ghosts, or so it would seem, are all there. And they come over and they give her a cuddle, and they all have a big cuddle, and that's when I cried for the 4th time.
Jesus Christ, Christopher. Get your shit together.
And that's when I told myself, I know... I'm sitting here like, when I describe how good this ending is to Charles, he's going to try and tell me that it's not that the magic worked, they're all alive, and they're going to live there happily. It's that the more sensible thing is that Laura also died, and now they're all ghosts, and I refuse to believe that.
That's exactly what happened.
Shut up. This is me. This is as it's happening, right? My thought process is Charles is going to try and convince me that they're all ghosts, and I'm going to be like, no, fuck no. I'm sticking to my guns. It is a happy ending. The magic was magic. They're all alive now. Everyone's back to normal. It's fine. And then
Even
next
all the orphanage
shot,
girls?
yes, all of them.
Okay.
And then the next shot is a gravestone that says "In loving memory of Laura." And Simone and all of the children, and Carlos is putting a flower down. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah. All right. And also, okay, so this whole movie, like Tomas, the ghost, Benigna, none of it mattered at all. I guess I'm glad that Laura found out that all of her childhood friends were murdered.
Yeah.
And then
like, that's the thing.
She incidentally murdered her son.
Yep. Yeah, it's very interesting that they're all things that are pertinent to her life, but none of them were pertinent to where her son had gone missing, which was simply he hid, she accidentally she locked him in, he died falling over a stair banister. But that, I mean, honestly, I laugh at how many times I cried, but that was fucking devastating to me.
Yeah, and I mean, also, anything that happened in the movie that was, looking back, a huge hint as to what happened was done so subtly and so well, and other things were distracting us that we didn't really put it all together.
Yeah.
Even I didn't see it coming.
And considering how egregious the red herrings are, and sometimes red herrings can be really annoying in movies, especially like whodunits. It was done so well because, like I said, they are technically pertinent to her life, to her existence. You're exactly like you say. It was so subtly done. Just incredible.
And this whole time you think that Tomas is like a vengeful ghost, and really he's just a victim of people bullying him for his deformity.
Yep.
And it's just like, I like how many things in this movie were turned on its head, but ultimately none of it mattered.
None of it mattered. And that's what really, it just gutted me. I'm really glad they had the magic ghost ending scene with Laura and all the children happy, because otherwise I would have immediately gone, I hate this movie. No matter how good it was, once they got to the point where she realized it was her fault and then she killed herself, I was like, oh, I am going to rip Charles's head off for making me watch this movie that I hate.
I didn't make you watch this movie.
I know, but you're my conduit. You're my... And then the way it ended, even though it got no less devastating, I don't know how to explain it. It's just the way the movie serviced me specifically made me really, really happy.
Yeah, and then shitbag Carlos gets to live his life.
We assume he sees the ghost of Laura because he finds the St. Anthony